I've got a Hall of Famer with me, folks. More specifically, one of the greatest players in the history of the game, Rick Barry, Golden State Warriors legend, joins me next to break down how the Warriors are doing. This is Locked On Warriors.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts. You can follow Hall of Famer Rick Barry on all social media platforms at Rick24Barry. You can follow me, Cyrus Saatsaz, on Twitter at DogSurfRoadshow. Rick, how are you doing, sir? How is the offseason treating you? And what are your first impressions? A day after your birthday is when we're recording this, by the way, so happy birthday as well, sir. What are your initial impressions of the Golden State Warriors with 5 games remaining in the season?
Well, first of all, I have to say I would normally have Warriors stuff on, but I have to have the University of Miami stuff on because they're going to the Final Four. I'm very proud of what they're accomplishing, what Jim Larrañaga has done, so I wish them well. And, the Warriors, I feel like Groundhog Day when it comes to the Warriors with Bill Murray, is that it seems like we keep talking about the same story. Are they ever going to actually learn how to play better defense consistently on the road? And they kind of forgot about it in the first half of the game last night. Oh my God, you want to talk about a Jekyll and Hyde game? I mean, Mr. Hyde raised his ugly head last night in the first half. I mean, that was embarrassing what they were doing. I mean, they had gotten to 13 turnovers so fast, it was you had your head spinning. But man, you got to give them credit though. I mean, that's the thing about this team. When they get focused and they lock down, like you say, Locked On Warriors get locked down on trying to play good team defense, they are so explosive. And it just reminded me of some of the past championship teams that they had, especially if, or some of the earlier ones where, oh my God, they're down 12, 14. Next thing you know, they're up 6. I mean, they are just incredibly explosive. They're like a volcano that just decides to erupt. But it's very frustrating if you're a fan because you don't know with this team who's going to show up on any given night. You know they're going to get a better effort at home usually, but last night I'm sure in the first half the people are going, "Do they think they're on the road? What's the deal with this game?" But yeah, they're amazing. They really are, and so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I'm hearing that Wiggins is going to come back, but how much has he been playing? What kind of shape is he going to be in? How sharp is he going to be? Those are all unknowns. Nobody has any idea how that's going to be. I hope he does come back and, at least have some games to get under his belt before you go into the playoffs. And then it's a matter of where are they going to finish and who's going to be their first round opponent.
Right.
I have never, in all the years I followed the NBA, I have never seen such a race for the top, well, now with the playoff games, the top 10 spots. Hell, you go beyond 10 to 11 and 12, and there's only 1 or 2 games separating these 3 games actually from, if you go down and look at the stuff, you go, between 4th place and 11th place or 12th place. I mean, there's only there's 4 or 5 games there, but when you start getting 7, 8, 9, 10, or even the 6, the Warriors are at 37, Clippers at 36, Phoenix at 35. I mean, my God. I mean, you go on a 3-game losing streak, you might be out of the playoffs.
Sure. I haven't heard at all that Andrew Wiggins might be coming back. Is this like a breaking piece of information?
I'm not saying anything. I just said I heard that Wiggins is going to come back. That's all I said. I mean, now I'm hoping that's true. I don't know. I mean, I'm not clairvoyant by any stretch of the imagination. I do hear a number of things. I do know a few people. We talked about this before. It's been one of the real mysteries, trying to figure out why. Why? I mean, but hey, it's all done. It's in the past. It doesn't matter. The big thing is the word now, not why. Is he going to return? It's a major factor. I don't think there's any chance of them winning without him coming back and being able to play at a high level.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. And the why of it, I mean, the team themselves have said it's related to his family. I've also heard that it has something to do not with him per se. So I'm really hoping whatever it is, his kids are okay. If that's what this inference is, whoever it's involving, let's just hope they're okay. And let's hope Andrew comes back. But that's fantastic. If that's true, that's phenomenal news because the Warriors desperately need him with 5 games remaining. If you're the head, let's say let's play a fantasy simulation here. Let's say you are the GM and the head coach of the Golden State Warriors. What would you do differently? Let's say you're in complete control, and you're looking at what the team is doing right now. Like, what would you do differently than what's going on in the present form?
Well, the bottom line is that I wasn't there and I don't know all of the inside things of what's going on. I mean, seriously,
Right.
I can't come up and say, well, if they'd done this and done that, because I don't know the truth of what actually transpired with the Wiseman situation. That's the one that is so
Yeah.
perplexing to me in doing it. And then, you even played when we were on before doing a show, maybe on one of our mic'd up shows that we did, talking about the video, the audio clip that we had of Bob Myers talking about something is as if, well, yeah, you want to do this, but you got to play the guy, and he wasn't getting played. And then he's going out, and he's actually putting up some pretty nice numbers when he got traded and doing some stuff. So you can only learn so much and improve so much by sitting and watching. You got to
Right.
play.
Right.
You have to be out there under fire. You have to be able to play. You have to be able to experience it firsthand. He has never had a chance to do very much of that in these number of years that he's come out to play, even back in college. So he is really, you talk about a possible diamond in the rough. I mean, there's no telling what he might be able to turn into if he stays healthy. And that's another one. That one goes back to the same situation that we're talking about with Wiggins. Remember, how in the hell is he out if he had a cartilage problem? We
Right.
never did get a real answer to what was going on with that, just like we've never gotten an answer to what's really happening with Wiggins. And so it's not fair to anyone but these other guys don't care. The talking heads, they have their freaking, oh yeah, no, they got all the freaking answers. How the hell do you make an evaluation and come up with a valid opinion about something when you don't really know what the hell has been going on?
Right. And you're
Hey,
referring to the cartilage thing with Wiseman. Yeah, some people speculated that maybe that they just felt he wasn't ready last year, and it had more to do with his mental preparation. But I agree. There's been a lot of mystery shrouded around a lot that's going on with the Golden State Warriors. What was your reaction, by the way, to Draymond Green last night? And we got a ticker down here, by the way. You mentioned the Mic'd Up app. This is a new venture that you and some business partners have launched. And this is where the Rick Barry show is prominently featured. In fact, the live version of the Rick Barry show is broadcasted on the Mic'd Up app. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's scrolling at the bottom of the screen. And it gives you a chance to watch some other shows on there as well, right on your phone. You could submit questions for Rick Barry and myself to answer during the show. So download the Mic'd Up app. It's an awesome new platform for some great shows and great content. What's your opinion of Draymond Green? There's some speculation that this might be his last year with the Warriors. He has a player option after this season. He asked for a max extension before the season started. The Warriors said no to that. He could opt out and be a free agent after this season. Last night, we saw vintage Draymond where he was playing the mental warfare with the New Orleans Pelicans. But he's also kind of regressed a little bit. I don't know if he's the same Draymond that we've known in years past. Maybe it's just the burden of being one of the very few bigs on this roster. What are you seeing with Draymond? Is he the same old? And do you worry about him leaving? Your thoughts, sir?
well, you're never going to be the same as you were, 3-4 years earlier. I mean, you get older and you lose a little bit, a quarter of a step, a half a step, whatever it may be. Jump as high, you're not quite as fast. But if you understand the game like he does, then you maintain a relatively high level of performance, and he's still been able to do that. I mean, he's still, shooting the ball, halfway decent from 3-point range, and maybe not quite as good a defender or rebounder as he used to be, but he's still a factor. Now, he's made a ton of money. Whether he deserves getting a max contract now at his age, that's asking a lot. I mean, that's asking a lot of a player at that stage. The big thing is, I would think if I were him, he's got enough money to live multiple lifetimes. So do you want to stay on a team where the guys and that you have a chance to still be successful and have fun playing the game, a fun way to play it when they play it properly? Or do you want to go off someplace just to make some more money and never see an opportunity to win another championship? So I think a lot would be predicated on who it is that wants him, who would be willing to give him the kind of money that he would like to have. And then it's up to him to make his decision. And whatever he decides to do, I mean, hey, he gave the Warriors a lot for a lot of years. And as a fan, you should be grateful of that.
Yeah.
And he has to do what he thinks is in the best interest of his family and himself. And God bless him for that. I mean, I personally would like to, hopefully he'll stay so the Warriors can maintain a high level of performance and still be a threat to challenge possibly for a championship. I mean, I still think. I mean, the guy that I talked all about it last year. I mean, I think the guy that is just. I really love this guy, and you know who I'm talking about, right? Kevin Looney. I mean, Looney is just such. I mean, you want to talk about somebody who knows his role, accepts his role, and just goes out and shows up every game, and you know what you're going to get from him. And sometimes you get more. I mean, the guy is just fun. I mean, I just love his attitude and
Same.
his approach to the game. I really do. Just terrific. So yeah, it's an interesting conundrum that the Warriors involved in right now, and as I say, because if they don't get if they don't get everybody back and healthy and being able to play, and if they don't play better defense, they're not going to reach
Yes.
as champions. I mean, they're just not. I mean, I keep hearing some of these other guys on there, the experts, talking. Well, yeah, I think the Warriors have a great chance to doing it, and blah blah blah. This, but talk about their defense.
Well,
T-wise,
when we come back, let's talk about the defense. I also, and you brought up, I'm glad you brought up Looney because I feel like there's a correlation there. Because Kerr he's all in on the Don Nelson small ball mentality. Last night, for example, your starting center was Draymond Green, your starting power forward was Jonathan Kuminga, and the result was you gave up 63 first half points. I don't know if you can go this small consistently. Yeah, this is what Kerr's doing. I love Looney as a starter. I don't understand not starting him. I'd love to get your insights on those two questions, and that maybe that ties directly in to defense. We'll talk about that and so much more in just a minute. First, we talked about you folks out there, or I'm sorry, talked about Rick Barry possibly being the GM of the Warriors. Well, there's a new game out there. It's called Ultimate Pro Basketball GM, where anyone can play the role of a GM. I played it with my fellow Locked On colleagues. We're in a league together. It's addicting. You could take on the role of Bob Myers. Rick, I wish some team would give you the chance to run an organization because you have one of the most brilliant minds I know, especially when it comes to basketball. But look, if you can't run a team of your own, at least you can play the role of a GM with Ultimate Pro Basketball GM. And Locked On Warriors listeners get a 100% free boost to their franchise if you use the promo code Locked On in the game store. So make sure to check it out. To download the game, just visit probasketballgm.com, scan the code that's showing right there at the bottom of the screen, or look it up on the app stores. Ultimate Pro Basketball GM, that's probasketballgm.com. Ultimate Basketball GM, start your dynasty today.
Well, this.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Sorry that we cut you off.
I don't want to be a GM. Okay. There's too much involved. And it's a hell of a lot more than you think it is because of all of the crazy rules with the salary cap and how much money you have to spend. There's just so much more to it. Where I think that I was good at.
Yeah.
And I can honestly say it's very few times that I was ever wrong about a player coming out of college or coming into the pros that, became a much better player than I ever thought they were going to be. Nobody listened to me when I told them there were three Chinese guys that were big men that could play in the NBA. When I came back from coaching a group of retired guys over in China, my freaking mind, and we're talking about Yao Ming, Wang Jiji, and Minky played in the league. And I said, one of them is going to be pretty darn effective. And that was, of course, Yao. Because I understand talent, I understand guys, I understand what the difference is between a good player and a great player, and I have a pretty good idea of what to look for. So I will say, and I'll admit it firsthand, the guy that became way better than I ever thought he was going to be, and my hat goes off to you, Sam Cassell. Sam Cassell became a really terrific player and played for many, many years, and because I saw him at Florida State when he was playing there, and one of my sons was playing in college at the time. And, I said I thought he could play, but I didn't realize he was going to become as good and as consistent a player as he was. But anyway, So yeah, it should be fun if you want to do that and go ahead and be a GM.
Well,
Load down the game.
and
What do you got to lose? Nothing.
and
It's not like
and
your job's on the line.
exactly. And by the way, your hat representing your alma mater, the University of Miami. Both our alma maters are in the Final Four. My San Diego State Aztecs are also in there. Fascinating. The Final Four. This is a whole new whole new teams that we're not accustomed to seeing this deep in March Madness. Kevon Looney last night was not a starter for the Golden State Warriors. Kerr went with the small ball lineup. He's fallen in love with Anthony Lamb, a former two-way player converted to a guaranteed deal. Lamb is 6'5", yet he plays 17, 18, sometimes over 20 minutes a game. What's your theory on Kerr's infatuation with small ball, and do you like it?
Well, I mean, certainly it's worth trying, seeing what happens. I mean, to his credit, he realized it wasn't working very well in the first half, and he made the switch back and played the guys he needed to play to get back into the game. So it's the same type of thing. You have to be willing to try different things, and you just don't fall in love with them to the point that you wind up having a divorce. So yeah, you give it a shot, see what happens. The thing I'm happy about that I'm seeing him do, and and what I like, and we've talked about this before. I felt the Warriors for this season needed to have, and I thought it was going to be all of their guys, all of their good draft picks, Wiseman, Kuminga, and Moody, and Moody, but that hasn't happened. But Kuminga is finally getting the time to get the minutes. He's really starting to do some really exciting things. His athleticism, he still can pass and see the floor. He's knocking his threes down a lot better. And so if he continues to improve at this rate, that's going to be huge for the team. That's why I want to see Draymond still stay. I still think they got with Steph and all and Clay. I still think they have a couple more really good years to be able to compete and all if they can add some other pieces. Mm-hmm. And the Wiseman thing didn't pan out. So hopefully they'll find somebody else. But I don't necessarily think that Lamb is the answer, and he does a nice job at times and, knocks down some shots and works his tail off and tries to play well. But, I still think they got to find somebody with some size somewhere. Yeah. I mean, what they're doing is pretty remarkable, but that's playing with fire. I mean, because you're going to go up against some teams with some really good people that they have to play against. And same thing, if they have to play Sacramento, who's going to guard Sabonis?
Exactly. Well, it's going to be Draymond probably, but it makes me.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. They got to go. They're going to try to go that route. But Looney will go and play well on him. But I mean, it'd be nicer if you had have somebody that really could be a bigger influence on him. Because I mean, as much as Draymond does, I mean, he doesn't have the size. And Sabonis is a nice player. He got the good shot. And I tell you, people needed to see his father. The people here never saw his father healthy.
I did, yeah, but I understand. His
father was huge. You didn't see him healthy when he was playing overseas before he came here. He was a shadow. Right. He was a shadow of himself coming here.
Really?
Oh,
what changed?
He had two major Achilles operations.
Before he came to the NBA?
Before he came to the United States.
Wow.
I am telling you, Cyrus, I saw him play. I broadcasted it. This guy was unbelievable. He was a great, great player before he came.
I remember him being great in the NBA. I can't imagine
he was a shadow of himself.
Wow. Okay, well, there you go. That's
okay. Speaking of this, I'm not going to go ahead and try to second guess anything. I told you I won't second guess Steve Kerr or Bob Myers and what they're doing. They've done a terrific job with this team over the years. I mean, you're nitpicking if you're going to try to find some things. Hey, he's trying to do what he thinks can do, but that's his credit. It didn't work. Okay, they gave up 60. Well, let's get back. Well, they only gave up 49 in the second half.
That's true. Right? That's true. Yeah, okay. They did. I look, and in all honesty, you're absolutely right. Those two have done one of the greatest jobs in the history of this game. It's just this year, I don't know if it's a divide between those two. There's just something off this year, and it's definitely. I think. Would you agree, Rick? Regardless of your success in the past, if they're a head coach of a team, you're susceptible to criticism. Am I not? I mean, is that wrong? Is that fair? What do you think?
Of course. Okay. Hey, you're always susceptible to criticism as a player.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of the territory, right? So, and again, like for example, JaMychal Green, he's 6'9". I feel like he could be serviceable out there, and he's DNP'd, and he only played garbage time the last game. 2 games ago, when he actually got a run of 14 minutes, he put up 12 points, was 2 for 3 from beyond the arc. He had 6 rebounds in 14 minutes. It's just a lot of stuff going on that just doesn't make sense. And I just wish.
But here's the thing: a lot of times it happens to be also who you're playing against and who the matchup is. That's why. That's where a coach really comes into his assistance, knowing the matchups, knowing how he plays and knowing, because now they do this analytical stuff. How does
Yeah.
he play against certain people? And against certain people, maybe he plays a lot better. And that's why you use him more in those situations. But all of that stuff is so sophisticated now when it comes down to the scouting aspect of it. And that's all part of the decisions and why they're being made. And so we're not privy to all of that. And so you just see a guy go out and do this, and then next thing you know, he doesn't play the next game. And you go, what the hell? He just got 18 points in that game.
Yes.
How come he's not playing?
Yes.
But maybe he's playing against a team where he doesn't play well against them,
Yeah.
or that guy he matched up against, he's never done well against him. So you're going and doing something else as opposed to because of the information that you receive from your scouts and from all the analytics.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more complicated, folks, than you think it is. Okay.
Which makes you wonder as well just how big of an impact Mike Brown leaving did have, right? I mean, because I think that was a lot of his responsibility was.
Well, yeah, but wait a second. Let's just talk about that. I mean, come on. He was there because what? His defense. Hell, he's got the most explosive offensive team since 60 years at Sacramento, and his team sucks defensively.
That is true. That is true. But then so do the Warriors.
Out.
They both do.
Maybe more of the offense rubbed off on Mike Brown than the defense.
Quite possibly. Do you have time? Do you have 5 more minutes, or do you have to run, Rick?
No, I really got to go. I got people waiting for me I got some pickleball set up, and they moved it back a little earlier. And it's always good to talk to you.
No, do your thing before you go. Real quick though, one more time, let's promote the Mic'd Up app again. The Rick Barry Show. You could first of all, the Rick Barry Show is available on YouTube. Just go subscribe to it. It's at Rick Barry's house. We're available on all podcast platforms, and the Rick Barry Show, the broadcast live on the Mic'd Up app. Is there anything you'd like to add to that, sir? It's
they're just people if they're worried about themselves, they want to get unbelievable product sleeves, the GoSleeves.com. RB24 is the code. Amazing product with kinesio tape built in. So just check it out, and the site will speak for itself. Same thing with Mediceleaf. There's all kinds of great products there that we have, and we've changed the name of one of the products that's there with another company, and it's Ultimate Repair X, and that's the amazing cannabinoid products. And then when you go to the Mediceleaf.com, MEDICILEAF.com, you put the code RB24, you get a great discount. And personally, I use this stuff every day of my life.
Wow.
I'm getting ready to go play pickleball. I'm hanging up here. I'm going and I'm putting some of that cream on my back, on my elbow, getting ready to go out and play. And then I do it again after I'm done with my shower. So check it out. I've seen miraculous things happen for people. So I know this stuff works, and hopefully it'll work for you as well. It's worked for me and so many others. So all the best.
You're literally a pickleball champion, sir. And so it works. It definitely works. And follow Rick Barry on all social media platforms at Rick24Barry. Have fun out there, sir. Happy birthday again. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy schedule to come on. Thank you.
God bless everybody. Go Warriors and go Canes.
Yeah, there you go. There you go, sir. And that is NBA Hall of Famer Rick Barry here on Locked On Warriors. One final segment after give some love first. Let me pull up the graphic here to the official sports book of the Locked On Podcast Network, and that's FanDuel. And the copy I have right here with March Madness in full swing. As we just talked about a moment ago, Rick Barry's alma mater, the University of Miami, or is it Miami University? Whatever it is. And San Diego State University, my alma mater, they're both in the Final Four. The tournament's heating up, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. That's because right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's up to $1,000 back in bonus bets. If your first bet doesn't win, just go to FanDuel.com/locked-on and sign up today to claim your no sweat first bet. Then you can wager on everything from the money line, point spreads, to which team will be cutting down the net. Go Aztecs, Aztec for life, all on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So don't miss your shot at a no sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/locked-on to sign up. Make every moment more with FanDuel.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts. We're wrapping it up here. It's just me solo now. Sorry, folks. The Hall of Famer had to run. He just celebrated his 79th birthday. And the fact that he's going to play pickleball right now, the fact that he is a champion in pickleball, he competes in real tournaments, folks. They split it up in age groups, so he's not playing against like 30-year-olds, obviously, but for his age group, and more times than not, he's the oldest one. Yet he's still winning. He's still holding up medals and trophies. And so a champion going strong, still at 79, Hall of Famer, NBA top 50 player, Rick Barry. Can't thank him again. And talk about a bombshell he dropped there at the beginning of the show. According to what Rick's hearing, Andrew Wiggins is coming back soon. So that's some fantastic news, because I agree wholeheartedly with Rick Barry's sentiments that if Andrew Wiggins is not back and he's not a part of this team in the postseason, I don't know if you can count on this team winning a championship, let alone even making a run. Wiggins is that important. I mean, it's easy to forget that he was the second best player on a team last year that won the world championship, the hardest accomplishment and the most important accomplishment in competitive sports. So again, so if that's true, and look, Rick is connected as well as anyone. That is fantastic news, and I think a lot of us are stoked if that happens. I wanted to, if we had more time, I would have gone back and forth a little bit. I totally understand what Rick's saying, and he's also in a delicate position. He talks to the Warriors a lot, so he has to limit himself in terms of critique. I get it. But one question I would have had is, okay, I understand that with each game comes different substitution patterns, and different opponents require maybe different matchups. But certain players are getting consistent minutes game after game. I don't see the consistency with Jonathan Kuminga. I really wish there was a consistent rotation for him there, where at least he knew every game he was going to get 25, 30 minutes a game. Instead, some games like last night, he'll get 30. And as I've mentioned on the show repeatedly, since the new year, when Kuminga plays when Kuminga plays 25 or more minutes per game, the Warriors win over 70% of the time. And when he plays 20 or less minutes, they lose over 70% of the time. That number is muddled when he's in the 20 to 25 minute range. But the point is, when Kuminga plays, good things happen. And last night, again, he put up 30 minutes. He played 30 minutes. He was playing outstanding defense. He literally had a perfect field goal percentage, both from the field and 3-point percentage. He shot 100%. Absolutely incredible. So at a minimum, I really do wish that Jonathan Kuminga would get that consistency in terms of minutes, because I'm sorry, I personally believe Kuminga is that good, and so it just makes me wonder why at least Kuminga is not getting that run. Why Moses Moody? I mean, Moody played 2 minutes last night. That's it, and I don't understand just that. I don't understand JaMychal Green, who again, like when he 2 games ago, this was the home game against Philadelphia when he played 14 minutes. They won that game. I mean, his contributions led to a victory. And then when he was held out against Minnesota, they lost. So, but regardless, they won last night. And I think most importantly, Andrew Wiggins might be coming back. That's a huge bombshell that Rick Barry just dropped. So we'll find out if that's true or not. But again, thank you so much to Hall of Famer Rick Barry. Thank you to all of you for tuning in. And tomorrow, if you follow us on Twitter, we'll announce when our next live show is going to be. Kylan Mills will be joining me for Thursday's show, and for Friday, a post-game show after the San Antonio Spurs game, which is huge. Just like every remaining game is huge, because right now in the standings, the Golden State Warriors are 6th. They hold a half-game lead over the Minnesota Timberwolves. They don't own the tiebreaker over the Minnesota Timberwolves currently. That's going to rely on conference record. And the Timberwolves' next matchup, interestingly enough, is tonight. We're recording this on Wednesday, March 29th. So this evening, they will play the Phoenix Suns. And if they lose that game, the Warriors will hold a 1-game lead over them. And it'll also help because that also means the Minnesota Timberwolves lose a conference game. Minnesota's conference record right now is 27-20. Golden State's conference record is 26-21. That's where the tiebreaker goes to next, because the two teams split the season series. So tonight's Timberwolves-Suns game is huge. And because of the fact that the Suns hold technically a 2-game lead of the Warriors, they have a 1-game lead on the standings, but the Suns own the tiebreaker outright because they won the head-to-head over the Golden State Warriors. So they really hold a 2-game lead. So the 4th seed, which is what the Suns currently have, it might be asking for a lot. So maybe for tonight's game, I think the rooting interest is going to fall more so on Phoenix to beat Minnesota so that Golden State at least starts to develop a cushion between the 6th and 7th seed. Golden State right now is 6th at 40 and 37. Minnesota right now is 7th at 39 and 37. And then Golden State is just a half game behind the LA Clippers for the 5th seed. That is still, I think, very attainable. And then Minnesota's scheduled to wrap things up. They play at Phoenix. Friday, they're at home against the Lakers. Sunday, they're at home against the Trailblazers. Then they're at Brooklyn, which outside of wins and losses will not bear much because that's not a conference opponent. And then Minnesota finishes up the season at San Antonio and at home versus the New Orleans Pelicans. The LA Clippers, who currently hold a half-game lead over the Golden State Warriors right now. And what's the tiebreaker between those two teams is going to come down to divisional record because those two teams are both in the same division. And so right now, the Clippers, they're going to play the Memphis Grizzlies tonight. That follows up immediately with another game at Memphis again. That's Friday. Then Saturday, they play at New Orleans. So that's a huge 3-game stretch for them. Then they come home to play the Lakers and the Trailblazers. And then they finish out the season at Phoenix. That is a difficult schedule that I think could lead to the Warriors still aiming for that 5th seed if that's what they want, as opposed to the 6th seed. Because another thing to keep in mind, if the Warriors finish 6th, they likely play the Sacramento Kings in the first round, which means less travel, as Draymond Green alluded to when the other day on his podcast or an interview. I can't remember where he said it, but Draymond Green said he prefers playing the Kings. And at first, people were appalled when he said that because they thought he was alluding to the Kings being a weaker opponent than someone else. But then he quickly added it's because of the lack of travel. They would just be riding a bus back and forth for those games. So that's how it's going to go because the Sacramento Kings right now are pretty much locked into the 3 seed. They're 3 games behind the Grizzlies for the 2 seed. So Sacramento will likely finish 3. And you have to wonder if that's what the Golden State Warriors ultimately want, because if the Warriors finish as a 6 seed, they would likely play Sacramento in the first round as opposed to Phoenix, who seems pretty much set on getting that 4 seed if they can continue winning games, because, again, they own the tiebreaker over Golden State. And then, so if the 3-6 ends up being that first round matchup, Kings and Warriors, and the Warriors advance past that, then the Warriors would play the winner of the 2-7 matchup, which right now would be Memphis and Minnesota. And the Warriors proved a year ago they can beat Memphis. That's an opponent that they've have plenty of experience against. And that's a path that they can find success in, especially if Wiggins comes back. And then that will lead up to the Western Conference Finals, where the opponent will most likely be Denver, although the Clippers could also surprise people, especially if Paul George comes back. So that's a playoff outlook for you right now. It's coming down. 5 games remaining. And again, we'll have you locked in on everything right here with Locked On Warriors. Thanks again to Rick Barry for joining me. We'll be back at it tomorrow with Kyle and Mills. Again, follow the program on Twitter at Locked On Dubs to get more information regarding when we're recording, because usually Colin and I like to go live. And then Friday night, we'll have a live post-game show, Friday Night Live, immediately following the Warriors and Spurs at Chase Center. Thank you to Hall of Famer Rick Barry. Again, the Rick Barry Show is available on YouTube. Please subscribe if you have not already. It's at Rick Barry's House. That is the name of the program on YouTube. And then download the Mic'd Up app. That is where the Rick Barry Show broadcasts live. So please follow us there if you're interested. Otherwise, that is it. Thank you again to everyone. See you tomorrow. Take care.